welcome to our lovely future humans and our 5D collective. Those who will be back at IHP. We have some lovely new plans for the year 2026, and also I'm settled in with all of that lovely attachment trauma education. I'll continue it as I have been. Self-help industry, excuse me. So, personal growth, spiritual growth. When I first started IHP, the blog, the podcast, all of it basically, but particularly the research that I did for the first part of the Inner Growth Mindset book, I didn't have any of the nervous system information. And then I got attachment trauma educated, and today I can tell you when I do research, as I'm an online marketer and entrepreneur, and find out what the gaps are within the industry, I'm not surprised. So, intelligent people know how to spot the charming, they're not charming, they're charlatans. Charlatans, charming only for the ones who like their narrative. So the truth, it actually is not fragile, as lovely Thomas Campbell points out. And I was already aware of what ego is, I still have mine, and self, but mind collaborate. So my subconscious, my body, and my conscious, my mind, are one and in alignment, which is why I know integrity, this state of coherence as a human being. And with attachment trauma education, when I did do the research and the names that popped up in the industry, the disappointment is from the ones who are high performers. They're the only ones who are going to be back here. They're high performers due to the fact, not because we're healthy perfectionists. It's just that they care about life and themselves and leaving something behind that is true to the future. No, to the young generation. So the mediocre people, they're not dangerous, Dan Martell. They're insecure human beings, emotionally immature people. They're not only unreliable, they're an on-off switch. Their ego talks over every single bit of anyone and anything, and it's really not funny, but it's understandable. The 3-year-old is capricious. They like what they like. They don't like what they don't like. And because it's a 14-month-old who's reacting to that, which is, I want this Peter Pan, Lost Boys, but they follow Wendy around. Okay, so a intelligent person right here, besides the mystic part, you want to know what the future is? Luckily for us, academia always works because that's how our species has evolved. It's through knowledge, and when you read and find out more information about people who are smart, it's amazing how they will let you know how our brain works with words. And yeah, we're not words first, we're first feelings. And those who don't understand this, again, they won't be here because they're not in the intelligent group. It's not a special group. It's a word that means you can actually access all of the emotions without saying, I want it to be well, it's well, it is right now, it feels right, because that's called effective realism. Most likely, structural dissociation is what is at play, and it's a cynic who speaks to other cynics and actually points out people that they believe are charlatans. I don't believe. I know who the fact people are. They're all the experts that are doing academic stuff with their colleagues. The ones who are charlatans are any of them who want to go around and say with one finger they're going to dismantle modern day therapists, but guess who goes to that cauldron? The other ones are also insulting modern day therapists, and everybody who's insulting everything about the modern day therapist, they're not going to be back here because those are the actual people who lacked intelligence to notice that their story is a reactive ego speaking over again. And I know there's sometimes when I've read things that I completely like, I don't like it. That's it. I was like, okay, let me go get some smart people out there. Because I know this is valuable, because I know that anything that's written that I've chosen that I want to purchase and buy, or anyways, actually, even if I didn't, let's just say hypothetically I come across some shit that I don't like. Yes, like the psychology guy, I will still know, quiet ego, because that's how it works when you're an emotional master, not a manager, a master of yourself and the skills. Thank you, Mom. She taught me how to wait my turn, probably because I have a twin. So when you're an emotional master of yourself, you're an empowered feminine. Your body's yours, your mind is yours, and you like learning things. And so on a Friday afternoon in high school, I asked for homework and people booed me. I didn't think anything of morons. That's how it feels when you meet people and you get into college and they're still morons. You think, wow. And then you say, you know what, I should probably stop using the word because I'm a moron too. But once you get to 45 years of age and you still meet them and you're attachment trauma educated, thanks Stephen Porges, that the narrative, he hopes all the therapists will find out. Hold on for it. The good ones obviously know it. The bad ones tell me they have a gazillion million ways to contest what just came out of my mouth, and those are the completely not good therapists. In fact, they want to lay people down who are not able to be laid down. So when you don't have the capacity yet to self-regulate, It's because your dysregulation is your comfort zone. And when someone wants to tell me they want to help people, but they have a gazillion million ways to contest Stephen Porges, I think, yeah, okay, I'm not taking you seriously, because that's an ego in town, you see? And so when I meet an ego, it's a small, insignificant moment, because yes, their opinion matters. Well, no, the human matters. So I'll let them be seen, soothed, and then I'll be able to say, yeah, I got a subjective opinion. That's bullshit too. People don't believe in Reiki. Or some believe it's a devil's energy because some moron decided. So that's how Maria feels about anybody who's actually in effective realism, structural dissociation, or cognitive dissonance. Because if I get to be called a dummy, I'll admit it if it's true. If, on the other hand, I'm not a dummy, I simply said something that wasn't appreciated or liked, well, that's actually something called you just reacted to a person's opinion. Well, let me see. Oh, wait. Hey, thanks, Terry Real. You're another smart man. As you pointed out, it's subjective reality, that which are relationships. So I'll be nice because my mother taught me manners. Reliable, wise adults. We're reliable, but we also don't put up with bullshit. And we also don't waste our time to try and educate anyone who doesn't want to be educated. Because ignorance, it's not bliss. It's chosen by those who don't care to learn things. And I don't care to actually try to bore people to death, by the way. That's a waste of their time. They don't care to learn. They don't want to, like those teenagers. I'm like, wow, you go and play all day long. You have 1 hour to learn. Like, what the fuck? 1 hour. 1 hour to do something important. No, dull. Dull meaning they get bored they get bored because they talk over people. So yeah, when you find out why apparently they say our brain is not wired for reading, it's because people like to be distracted with insignificant shit. Insignificant is what I call anything that isn't teaching you something valuable to learn. But I'm so sorry, I forget. Where are my manners on this lovely Sunday reflections? I love learning. Did I mention that? I don't like to be a dumbass, and when I am dumb, I know why. It's because I don't know things, and I really don't like it. But my mother taught me well. She's like, you're not born taught. You're going to have to learn. Okay, I'm going to go buy more books, and I'm going to go buy all of them. And when somebody actually craps on people for wanting to learn, I'm like, wow, that's another, what are you, a cheerleader, a jock, which one of the popular groups did you think that you're going to become? So I don't do... when people want pats on the back, and it's not just the cheerleaders and jocks, it's really just anyone who doesn't know how to be a solo self while connecting with others and knowing your differentiated self. You have your subjective opinions, I do too. Then we have experts who educate us. Then we continue to have, for the mystics, our own experiences, and we bring it in, and it's not a competition. So when ego self works together, be yourself, come on over. The smart people know how to do that which is self-help because they did the hard work first, or they didn't need to. You can watch, there's a couple of episodes on that topic, and that's why you can't talk the nervous system out of its survival response, trauma, and what is this word, somatics. Yes. So when this guy who's a therapist told me I have a million ways, gazillion million, whatever the word, it was absurd. I was like, wow, I'm curious about these millions of ways, but I'll never find out. You know, here's the deal. People don't believe me when I say I am curious. Oh, I'm curious about someone who interrupts me and has this, because I'm a 3-year-old who's like, wow, they just, my playground with information. I will never know your perspective. I'm curious. So no, I'm not pretending, because I actually am not cocky in the way of thinking I know everything. I'm not a dumb idiot who thinks I know everything. That's why flat earthers, it's good. There could be a 0.00001% chance they could be right. And people say it's because of you that we have flat earthers. No, not really. They actually just chose to hang out with each other and believe a bullshit narrative, because that's how much they don't trust history or Neil deGrasse or science. And again, that's why, sure, you know what you're talking about. I mean, really, I have to respect you, because otherwise my mother, she taught me manners, and God keeps on reminding me not to play the know-it-all like I would if I was a teenager version of me. You don't listen to what we tell you to do. Yeah, you're right. Thanks for pointing it out. I stopped being a hypocrite that day, but I'm like, yeah, I don't follow you all around because you're doing stupid shit. You don't notice how reckless you are, and while I do some stupid shit too, it's just not that bad. I'm a healthy perfectionist, and I'm a high performer, and whenever I'm bringing in I am a B game when it comes to some things. It does bother me. Ask my younger sister, she'll tell you how much I'm bothered by it. But I learned how to be flexible. That's what a grown-up does, and to not be so upset about it like a little kid who would be capricious and make it into a big deal. My mother taught me emotional management skills because she allowed me to fuss and huff and all of it. So I still huff and fuss with her. That's my 3-year-old. It's not trauma time. It's I'm Maria, I'm your child, and I want to huff and fuss and all of it. And I don't plan on growing up, Mom. If you're watching me right now, I'm not going to grow up. I'm still going to get into my little 3-year-old. I'm sure you'll love me. I'm a cockroach. That's how the saying goes for the Italians. Even if you're a cockroach, your mother still loves you. And I'll never forget it, because even if I'm a cockroach, but as she told me, if you break the law, I'm sending you over right there. This was a whole conversation that my mother and my grandmother were having in the house, and I remember it. It's an explicit memory because, so here's the deal. The truth, not fragile. When people don't like what they hear from Stephen Porges or any of the modern day therapists, it's a red flag. Let yourself be aware. Don't stop, leave it alone, and that's it. And you can close it, because when people get triggered into either mobilization, defenses, or shutting down, they develop elaborate narratives. They're not even elaborate sometimes, because they are following Wendy around, who gave them, I'm going to dismantle with one little finger. The modern day therapists are trying to imprison us, and they feel that way because they don't want to learn to self-regulate. In fact, the same human being goes on to say it's dangerous to have no emotions. You physically can't the first 3 years of your life. You're all emotions. And then they wheel their mouths in those very insignificant ways for a brilliant mind who's attachment trauma educated, but who's hilariously following it in the it's not inherently true that it's enlightening or healthy to be non-reactive. Wow, you are such a dumbass. If only you believed in science. But oh, I'm so sorry, and you're not even a flat earther. You don't believe in science. You're not a flat earther. I don't know what the truth is. Oh, I know what the truth is. It's called, sure, let me keep talking. Trauma is not an event. Trauma is a response. Thank you, Stephen Porges. So when you meet therapists who want to respect the drama kings and queens so much, and say, don't call them that. I would love to say, hey, excuse me, I'm 45. I've been talking about attachment trauma in a good way, and yeah, they ain't coming to you. And they're completely continuing with the let's dismantle the modern day therapist. They're even now talking to people by reading a script on how to do that which is called work with their nervous system. And it's like, wow, you can't do that. You're physically not capable of working with a person. The person needs to work with a good therapist. Otherwise, you're just right now on screen. I get to find out everything about these people's subconscious. They don't really realize it. Yeah, so this is what a true warrior would know. If they were true warriors, they would get to become themselves first, because otherwise you have no idea what you're shitting out of your mouth from. I know everything that I'm saying because I choose to let it be. It's not perfect at all. It's not even right. Sometimes it's wrong. And yes, I actually sometimes get it wrong. I've been saying the 7 to 14 charming. They're not 7 to 14. It's more like 9 to 14 or 9 to 16. Michael Stone, forensic criminologist scale. I'm sorry. If you're new, this is a Sunday reflection for the community of IHP. So it's really something that they will have heard. So many years I've been here. So with that, hold on a minute. Which was the thing that I was going to read to you? Yes, truth, love, and fear. They are easy for the emotionally and mentally intelligent person. You can go tune into that episode. The freedom is yours to come together in harmony and find a resolution where differences arise between two. So ego and self, when you're friends of yourself, you don't crap on yourself. This is the inner growth mindset. And the corpus callosum works together, and they don't silence each other. Ego, self work together when you're being yourself, and you don't silence an expert because they're experts. And when they're pseudo-intellectuals, you still don't silence them. You listen, and then you wake up from a dream and say, wow, now I know why their voice was off. They're a fucking person who's not using their heart. Okay, that made a lot of sense. Their gruesome depiction of what they did with their brain also made a lot of sense. Wow, they really don't know how to be a strategic anything, but hey, let me be happy that I'm not near any of them. And yeah, I don't know everything, but I do know how humans are made. The ones who don't own their subconscious, they're not going to be back here. They don't like to hear about the subconscious. They don't want their body online. They're the cowards that Patrick Chan talks about. I love you, Patrick, and I know you might find it odd or weird, and you might not like me because I forgive, and I get it, but I'm a 3-year-old who didn't get broken, and I'm a 4-year-old who got disowned. No, 8-year-old got disowned. 4-year-old got rejected. Then I pulled a little girl down the stairs because she did the wrong thing, but I got taught manners, and then I got to continue doing Dharma, my 5D mystic lifestyle. It's not important as much as what I'm trying to get to. Be yourself. Someone said, why would they need you? They won't need me. They'll want me because I don't sell them shit, is what I should have said at the time, but I didn't have all the attachment trauma education. Now that I do, I don't sell shit. And when someone asks for a shortcut for integration, they're selling shit. So self-help, it's not crap. Pseudoscience is not bullshit. It's, do you know your body and mind? And are you actually a healthy self-worth human being who can self-regulate or not? If you're not, then Dr. Amy Pegan knows all about bad resilience. And that's why self-help doesn't work for people who don't know how to get their own But to be well, it is right now, it feels right. Well, you're all feels. Dangerous to have no emotions. You're all feels again. You don't own anything except for a story that you think you own, which you don't. And that's why Wendy and Peter Pans follow each other around. And we do not do anything to point them out physically. And even if I ever met any of them, what you hear here, they won't be. And that's when people say you're back stabber, liar. No, my mother taught me manners. I'm 4'9". I'm smarter than the average bear. No, I'm just smart enough to know that it's not nice to say rude things to people who don't know their inner child and who don't want to. They're not monsters though. They're unfortunate souls who got shamed, blamed, faulted, revenged. They didn't get taught how to manage their emotions. They don't even have healthy anger, to the point of where they actually think that, oh, I'm going to correct things is a healthy anger. That's not. No, healthy anger is God correct. No, he gives you free will. Scientists explain to you how to own yourself. So when a man who's a therapist says, I have a gazillion million ways to contest what I just spoke from experts and they got out of college, it's like, well, that's another bad therapist. How are you going to help them? I'm going to lay them down, he says, 3 times a week with my little notebook. Oh, I forgot. He described what he was wearing first. It's not the first person who describes to me what they're wearing. And I always have thought, wow, you care about what you're wearing. I asked why you chose your profession. This is fascinating. Good boy, good girl. Did you make mommy and daddy proud? Which would totally require me to get punched, which I totally would welcome that because I would deserve it. But that's a teenage version of myself, is a grown version of myself. The present, yes, Maria knows everything. Put me in a room with teenagers. Watch who comes out smiling. Watch who comes out, oh my God, oh thank God you saved us from her. She bored us to death. And it would be like, no, I didn't. I gave you food for thought. And if you don't use it, it's okay. Because I see Pinocchio in his island. I have a boatload of people around me. I love them to death, my facade friend included. That's why 3D, 4D, they're a charm. They're not testing shit though. Yeah, testing. Okay, so here's the deal. When you hear about twin flames, yes, it doesn't work the way you've seen the people who have basically not noticed who they are. There are 2 kinds of people, those who make things happen and those who enjoy it when it happens well and complain when it doesn't. There are those who like ignorance, and I don't. So as a person who said I'm going to help people when I grow up, and then I became an online marketer, an online entrepreneur with the content creation, I got serious. And when attachment trauma education was made available to me, I was like, oh my gosh, thank goodness. Finally, the 4D, they were bullshitting their way through all of it. I knew something was off with their fucking stories because there was none of the whole thing they were talking about. Because the light body, light body, light body, light body, light body, and then rainbow body is only going to happen if a person actually becomes their true self. If instead they choose to analyze the story first, that's your left brain. Yeah, that's not your body. While it's important for you to look at this, the body rules you until you rule it. So emotional managers, they're not going to be back here. Emotional masters, if they want intelligence, yes. And if they enjoy not only a soft skill, but really learning more shit and having a fun time as we move forward in the future. Because we are not here for so they take trauma therapy seriously. Did I mention that? And they actually know what I'm talking about when they meet bad therapists or bad self-help people. Bad because they're ineffective, not because we're children who want to use the word, you're bad, you're good. I did that when I was a kid, and as a grown woman, I'm still very surprised that people like to use the word evil, as they're not intellectually savvy at that point. If they were, they'd know who they were. All the evil people, they're all weak. They need therapy. And all the other ones who think they don't, or basically think that there's some, superhero, supervillain battle going on. Yeah, I'm a 5D mystic. Did I mention? I've seen cosmic karmic balancing. So besides being one with lovely in communion with that which is Akash source, lovely God, he's discerning equanimous love. No, we're not it. When people like to call us God, divinity, in the ways that makes me very aware that they think that means we're big, I'm like, it's only once you've welcomed all of your humanity that you will have incorporated the fact that you're a vehicle which has biases, charges, every single bit of your 1-year-old through all of it, and I can get capricious and sound like an asshole and actually be annoying too, which is okay, as I have a twin, so I'm not touching you, and that's why children, the annoying tone of a child, but the difference is if you're a grown-up who loves all people equally. So the person who's not decent enough to be saluted is a stranger, and a healthy self-worth woman or man, or they could tell you, we won't feel guilty or actually angry at them. We'll be like, okay, I got a funny story out of it to tell people about. And that's it. And people, that's mean. Is it mean though? Isn't it mean that he harassed me the entire night as he was drunk because he got rejected? No, it's not mean. He's ignorant, biologically rude people, emotionally immature. They're not reliable. They're an on-off switch. Their ego actively, completely, consistently thinks it's right. And that's why it's like, as you looked at me, you leave it. Don't talk sense to people. But when people are buying self-help and personal development from people who tell them that they can help them with their trauma stuff, being attachment trauma educated, yeah, that's why I know you do integration first. That's what I was wanting. I knew it. I was trying to prolong it because I forgot what I wanted to actually read to you, and this is from a smart man. So the Sunday reflections, you might have more of them, and you can consider them stream of consciousness. One person's sharing with you not only her subjective opinion about life and people, but also, I am attachment trauma educated. I learn more than just that. I do not enjoy any human being on the face of this planet when I've been in school, paying for courses in general, that likes to chime in when I'm listening to learning stuff from experts, because experts do the work. I have been to academia, and I appreciate it. The lovely species of ours will be fine in the future because humans evolve thanks to the smart ones. Those who stay in caves, they will stay where they are at. It's okay, they're fine, they're happy, great and dandy. They'll isolate. The ones who think that every person needs a, what do they call it? An alpha something, and that they are a herd. Yeah, so herd mentality is for those who need a place that they want to call home with ignorant people. Those of us who like to enjoy expanding are not going to be a herd with ignorant people. We're going to be a herd with the intelligent people, knowing who the ignorant people are, leaving it alone because we have laws, and continuing to know that everything's going to be fine because, again, consciousness expands, not the other way around. Intelligence moves forward, ignorance doesn't, and it's not bliss. And even if somebody ever found out with the, there's a quote Sadhguru shares, if they find out about reality, it'll hit them like a rock. No, because if they are hit by a rock, it would only be because they got so educated and cultured that they would then be able to be compassionate towards themselves and not get hit by a rock, because they would have understood that they didn't have control over the fetus, the 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So if a person's smart, they'll know every single bit of my body ruled me until I was able to rule it. No, not a manager of your emotions, a master of your emotions with the skills to then say, yeah, I want intelligence, which is why you don't need me. You'll want me because I know what I'm talking about. And smart consumers. I never actually treat consumers like dumb people. I always notice, yes, the masses, the ones who fall for the bullshit, well, I can't pity them. They're actually choosing the people they like because they like their narrative. So they don't care about education, meaning they don't care about smarts. They don't care about intelligence. They don't care about knowledge. They don't care about themselves. They care about what I like my 14-month-old says, is where I'm going to go, and that's going to be the truth. You don't believe in evil? No, I don't, because there is none, except for in a Michael Stone forensic criminologist scale. They all need therapy. If they all got therapy, then we'd all be singing Kumbaya right now. But hey, guess how many buy into the bullshit narrative with one little modern day finger person? Yeah, millions, billions. She's not the only one. There's a he, there's a she, there's theys, there's a bunch of them. I don't laugh at ignorance. I do not find it in any way, shape, or form intriguing. I find it humorous, to say the least, and in a very neutral way, because I'm like, God gave you free will. Science gave you Neil deGrasse. You choosing ignorance is completely not a monster. It's your ego by yourself, because a 14-month-old gets reacting. I don't like what you're saying, and let me interrupt you. Okay, wow. So this was in high school, in my bachelor's years, in my master's years. By the time I got to my master's as a grown woman, I was like, that was pretty rude. Like fucking physically, seriously rude. We need to say something to these human beings who are doing this. That's not nice. And we did. Stop interrupting the teacher and stop being an asshole. This is arrogant, not nice, and you're not the teacher. If you want to be a teacher, go open up your own classroom. Actually, no, go to school, get a PhD, then continue doing research, academia, and then teach. And those who think teachers are insignificant, wow. How'd you learn to write and read? Oh, maybe you didn't. Let me think. Yeah, okay. So the ones who want ignorance, again, that's something I'm very, very aware. People need to have that which is called better leaders. But the narrative is what they're drawn to. So when somebody doesn't know the evil thing is philosophical, religious, ancient textbooks, and they don't believe in neuroscience, neurobiology that proves what each and every human being is, which, by the way, is the perfection that God is, well, number one, there's your hypocrite. Because God shares, all my children, Jesus does, will have a place in the kingdom of God because they're all the same. Those who like to talk about monsters and like to shame each other, well, there you go. There's their narrative. They just put wherever they don't like a demon called Lucifer and a monster and the good and the bad and the evil. They continue using words like children do, which is why it's unimpressive to grown women to see grown human beings interrupt teachers, interrupt this, and then come in with the good and evil thing because it's like, wow, that's not a philosophical debate. It's just a bunch of people who are dressing shit up based on what they like and don't like. Oh, look. Hey, Sadhguru, come on over. What was that about the karma stuff? Yeah, so when you're holding on to something in a way of it has to be my way, there's your ego. I bring the human elements, if you're new, to the spiritual and spirituality elements. I like to be practical. So yeah, when I meet ego without the self, it's like, oh, there's somebody who knows. Many feel that coaches and spiritual teachers promise rapid transformation, one session breakthroughs, or manifestation shortcuts instead of honest long-term inner work. This is research. So people who are serious about growth commonly report several frustrations. They're right. I've seen them. The millions of followers with the one little finger. Yeah, that's exactly where the person said the modern day therapists are going to try to imprison you. They're not. They're teaching you how to use your emotional management if you want skills at some point, mastery. So once again, ignorance, not bliss. Intelligent people know this. We are not going to be telling emotionally immature people what to do with their life. They can continue hanging out with the morons. Why would we say anything? And again, I'm not going to point him out to the extent I'm a moron in some things. I'm not a moron about what we're made of because I chose to help people. That's why I got attachment trauma educated. If I'm going to say I'm going to help you. Oh, but you're one step ahead, Maria. Yeah, that doesn't mean anything to me. I actually like to offer good quality content and good quality. But I fuck it up and forget the words. And oh yes, people don't believe in science. Did I mention that? I find it hard to believe. That's how people engage with your information. Like when you're attachment trauma educated, and it's not the only one. There's bazillion more that I could tell, that I will tell you, and you all have heard the stories. It's not even funny. That's why I laugh. I can't not at them. I have to laugh and have fun because in the meantime, I'm also respecting their narrative. Is, hey, I don't know their narrative. I'm fascinated by the fact that ego can make up so many bullshit sentences and I might be wrong. Excuse me, I'm so sorry. I might be wrong. That is actually the conclusion I was able to make when I was a kid. Yes, I was 18. I was like, Maria, you don't know everything. You know that. So I think you need to try and figure out how to stop talking over people. Their opinions might be the breakthrough that you need. Yeah, you know what? You're right. So I've learned how to just be quiet and I have fun because also I'm not like competing with them. So this is the other fascinating part. I get it when academics chase each other down the hallway, but when it's out there in the open and they're like actually closing themselves off and they're like, I have the perfect box. I have the perfect... lack of qualifications and ethics. Coaching is largely unregulated. Almost anyone can sell high-ticket programs without mental health training, which leads some clients to feel misled or even harmed. Yes, there's also bad therapists out there who are unhealed and who don't actually notice that when they're wielding their mouth, here, let me translate the sting of the narcissist, the scale that the scientists just came out with, but my colleagues are all against me. They can't heal. Wow, really? And yeah, you're an actual person with a board certificate, so we need better ways to, all people, you know what I'm going to say? I'm going to say we need them all to be able to anchor in their ventral energy, which is why I know what the future looks like. As we continue to become more intelligent, those who care about helping people, we don't even need somebody to tell us how to be regulated. I got all updated and informed on attachment trauma because as a mentor, coach, content creator, I cared about what I'm doing and still do. The ones who don't care tell you they're going to get rid of the modern day therapist, which really, a person who believes in that kind of stuff, you're not believing, you're just choosing that you don't like the therapist, which would be a better conversation with yourself, which then would be, there's a red flag, because who are the people who have the hardest time getting to therapy? Thank you, Patrick Tiahan. The people who didn't get treated like children, they didn't get a child-centered environment. They don't deserve to have it easy. That's how they think of it. It's not having it easy. It's having management skills for your emotionally immature years and then learning to become a master of yourself and then saying, yeah, I want emotional and mental intelligence. Why not? So the heart stays open because the body stays connected. The mind stays open because two sides work. And it's really beautiful to have you all here. Poor transfer into daily life. People say they feel motivated after a book, seminar, retreat, but quickly revert to old habits because there is little accountability, integration, or support afterwards. Yeah, the thing is, those who revert to old habits didn't get to therapy, get better, get out of complete dysregulation and not awareness of what your maladaptive patterns of behavior are. Once you're aware, maladaptive, inner critic, outer critic, drinking, drugging, fucking, people who choose that their addictions are fine actually don't know that their window tolerance diminishes, that they're using the dark sides of neuroplasticity. So they'll read a book and then they'll be upset at the self-help. Well, no, you just didn't do the thing called continue therapy, continue self-regulating, and then continue until you're ready to notice, oh, look, I'm really stressed out. I'm going to choose a healthy way to get out of this stress stuff. That's the part of why it's not the self-help industry that is actually skipping out on people. Some of it is because of the coaches and mentors who don't care about taking seriously, hey, when you don't know how to regulate, that means you want more therapy, EMDR, chop parts work, somatics. Or if you're done and you say, I haven't done it yet, then admit or at least acknowledge you're choosing to whine about feelings, and therefore you're going to choose a distractive method which isn't going to help you expand your window tolerance to window welcome. It's just going to leave it like that, and that's why we got a bunch of teenagers running around patting each other on the back. But of course, the book and the motivation doesn't work. And that's because you didn't choose yourself, and you didn't choose to get intelligent, you didn't choose to do the right thing by you, which is why they don't betray us. Emotionally immature people are unreliable. They betray themselves, like my facade friend. The last conversation I had with him before he went and decided to do the comfortable thing, which is not have a serious conversation, which would have led him to be solo, and then to continue struggling as he was not where he wanted to be. He still isn't. But instead he chose to make up a narrative, which is fine and dandy because that narrative is true. Yes, but what I know is my facade friend gave up on himself. And what he chose was to make up a story about why he was going to stick to a relationship he didn't want. And that, in fact, I'm being on purpose private with some of the aspects because there's more to it. I just choose not to reveal all of these details. It's unnecessary. But I remember as I'm like, this isn't how that works. You realize this, right? Like, I mean, okay, so I'm going to bring it to you this way. When there is love in general, because you are connecting to another human being, and therefore there's a secure relationship, safe haven, secure base, okay, and you are a bond that is thriving. Doesn't matter how many interests or not. It's kind of like with Leonard and Penny, right? They grew a bond, they're good together, and that's the part that's important. What you know is things will organically build and expand and grow. You don't need to actually use any kind of methods to remain interested in each other. And that is the part of what true love. It's not about it being love at first sight or not. It is actively about the bond that you created with the person. But furthermore, there's I see you and I soothe you, and so the secure connection and feeling that aspect together. But, well, here's the thing. I'm going to pause. I always do believe there's a bit of magic, if you will, within relationships, just because, like, you know, you might not cross paths with someone. So I'm just going to leave that there. But our amygdala, as Dr. Dana Siegel has presented, is alerted immediately to that which is of interest to us. And that's why it's not a perfect science, but it is something he explains. And then it matches with that 14-month-old and our likes and dislikes. So I'm just going to leave you to, I know how I work, and I know how I, in my lifetime, 45, which is why, you know, twin flames, soulmates, over soul, all that is great and dandy. But even without those words, I can tell you that in my 45 years of life, I've always known when I'm interested. And it's been like this, but it isn't because of it being a, what's it called? For sure long-term good partnership in a way of fulfilling through and through. What fulfills two people are being mentally and emotionally intrigued by each other, and that's organic is what I'm trying to get to. So the amygdala, though, does have something to do with it, at least from my subjective personal experience. And I can tell you all that what is beautiful is once you find out what emotionally immature people are, like my facade friend, yeah, they're not interesting because they're not, see, they don't have room for self-regulation. They don't want to become a ego self that's online in their prefrontal. They don't care about basically getting their A game on. So it's a long story short. But for the Sunday reflections, let me close on out with this. I love Dr. Daniel Siegel. He is one of my heroes. So is Stephen Porges, because I find as a grown woman, my heroes are all those who are giving humanity the opportunity to access that which I got to learn on my own because I'm self-led, but not by myself, with my lovely immediate alloparenting, then my next alloparenting, and above all with my lovely good Christian Catholic upbringing. God, Jesus, Holy Spirit are my foundation, and becoming a mystic only made it that much more amazing for me. Being rejected by those who want to say that I'm a demon, a devil, an evil, or whatever, I don't really give a shit about being rejected by ignorant people. I actually am completely appalled, I think is the word, but not even. I have no words. I'm speechless when I meet morons, especially the ones who want me to think of them as some type of leader. You are not a leader if you are disregarding that which is science, because obviously you don't understand what science proves. And when someone told me in my face, God doesn't need science, so I'm so sorry you're going to be rejected, I didn't think, oh my God, I'm so upset. No, I thought, wow, your narrative sure as fuck gives you the way to not notice what you just said as an inconsistent, lacking integrity human being, because how you are, how you act, how you think, that was lacking coherence. Guess who lacks coherence? Ego. All by itself says the dumbest of shit because it doesn't even notice. Oh, but I use doctors, I use science. Wait a minute, did I just say something stupid? That's how it would work if you're aware of yourself and you're saying something like this. And actually, I don't even know how it would work without it because I'm not that dumb. When I'm dumb about something, I know it. And when I'm actually like struggling with not understanding, I feel dumb, like stupid dumb. Like I don't talk to myself like shit. But there was this one time, it was a year and a half ago, I was like, you're so stupid. But I was really upset because I was angry that I wasn't able to figure out something that seems so simple for people. And this is all about my sense of direction, human beings. I still don't know what 1 kilometer is. I still get lost when I'm going. I have an issue with I don't know what it is. You better bet that makes me feel really dumb, because when I get lost, then I'm also frightened. That actually might be what happens. I get really scared. So, and that's part of my 0-1-year-old. I actually took the PDP framework test with Dr. Dan Siegel. I'm like, yep, that's me. So that actually makes sense with my way of being motivated. As he shares with us, many clients can tell their story with incredible clarity. He says some can map their trauma on a timeline, name every trigger, and articulate exactly why they are the way they are. He says, yet the anxiety, the shutdown, the relational patterns, and the dysregulation remain. This is from his newsletter today, and I'm sharing that as our closing out Sunday reflections. Here lies the quiet truth most trauma-informed therapies bump into. Insight isn't integration. So integration of the brain. Let me share with you. I took his course, IPMB, and a bunch more, DID and disorganized attachment. I have consciousness and change. And I need to finish also the the attachment and lifespan, that one, and the IPMB is pretty long too. So I have these two that are still pending. But so integration means when you're bilateral, vertical, overall integrated. And we've talked about this in one of the stream of consciousness messages after the full moon, even though it's for the full moon. And so a person who wants to talk to me about self-help, yeah, self-help works if you're integrated. If you're not and you follow charlatans around, it's because those charming people give you the narrative that you want because you don't want therapy, which is why Stephen Porges is also my hero. And there's more than just that. Bessel van der Kolk, Lisa Feldman Barrett too, all the smart neuroscience neurobiologists at this point. And the ones who want to tell me God doesn't need science, I just think, yeah, we know that, but he created us all. And the scientists aren't actually disproving God's creations as perfection. They're proving it. The ones who seem to want to keep a good team and a bad team, well, again, not bliss for the intelligent minds, just very obvious. And it's not a threat for the mystic spiritual one, because God always wins, because love wins. That's it. Oh, excuse me. Love is intelligence. It's not the, oh, I love you till death do you part, because that sentence also doesn't mean anything when you meet the unreliable, very emotionally immature people who like to just speak out of their mouth, and then they're not consistent, coherent. They're not in any way, shape, or form going to do anything of that which is growth, which gets really boring, because the dark side of neuroplasticity is boring, and that's because they are not alive in their body. The window tolerance doesn't expand, it diminishes. They use bad habits and they continue to use that, and therefore you got a person who doesn't care about their self, about their health, about their brain, about their mind, about their body, about their connection, and they also think they know everything. Yeah, like somebody who spreads rumors about yoga bringing demons out of you. That's pretty not hilarious, but hey, then again, it is hilarious because instead of thinking, I'm going against an entire heritage because I was told by some who knows who, oh, and the person who spreads the rumors because they didn't know Peter Levine and that muscles, bones, and tissues store trauma charges. Or I'm sorry, they didn't believe in it. Yeah, that's the word people like to tell us when it's science is bullshit. Okay, so join the flat earther group, shall you? Because I'm the woo pseudoscience lady because I know what bullshit means. And I'll join anybody when they say Reiki. I don't believe in it. That's good for you, but I know it works. But hey, you know what? I don't have to prove it because cosmos, energy, scientists, I'm sure know how to prove to you and talk to you about it in the smartest of ways. I have a lot of things to share today. Sunday reflections, yeah, it's because it was an intense full moon, man. And as I get our 2026 planned, I'm really excited. Can you tell? I can tell. Anybody who knows me, if my mom watches this, she can tell. Like, oh, she's all up. Yes, Mom, I am. If you're watching, I love you. Also twin, also younger sister, also all family, everyone who watches. If you're coming around, my family doesn't always watch any of it, but sometimes they do. So, every now and then I just make sure they know I love them. Friends, family, okay, just FYI. You can understand a memory without ever linking it to the bodily sensations, emotional states, relational patterns, or neural circuits that were shaped by it. The reaction lives in one part of the system, the story lives in another. And see, this is smart genius. This is a man who knows what he's talking about. People who don't care to notice that if they don't have their body-mind connected, that's why self-help won't work if you don't have all of you in the forefront and love yourself first. And then you also love others. Those who think we're selfish as human beings, yeah, sure, we all are. Because if I come plug your nose, you're not going to let me. But we're all selfish because we all will be with our primary human consciousness and then our secondary. And if you're meaningless or meaningful is not what's going to determine how you're going to be motivated. What determines, thanks Dr. Dan with the PDP framework, are basically your embodied brain, attachment category. Do you have self-awareness, accountability, regulation skills? If you do, then you're going to know how to be a master of you, and you're going to emotionally regulate in the presence of grown-ups and children. And that means even if you're getting yelled at in the face, even if someone's being a pity party, you'll be the person who has the equanimous tone, discerning, loving, and you continue to grow that, which is why we thank 3D40. They give us the opportunity of our lifetime. In the short, I told you for another time right now. You know why? Because scaredy cats, unhealthy self-worth people, they're not monsters. A tu brute isn't something that I think of as how powerful of that coward to backstab me like an asshole. No, I think of how cowardly for a person to continuously lie, bring to me bullshit. My facade friend, the only man I ever yelled at in his face, and as he's looking at me like this, with no attachment trauma education, I intuitively was like, yeah, they don't know what they're doing. So people who don't own their subconscious, who don't self-regulate their body. So when someone gets reactive, I don't get reactive with them. And if I do get reactive, then I don't feel ashamed of Maria, but I do say, okay, that's something we're going to work on. And that's happened. One instance that this past year, yes, it was a small, but I wasn't like, yeah, keep on bringing that behavior on, Maria. No, it was, okay, I can do better. That's why self-help and personal growth and the emotional resilience work is fun for us. And that's why we want to do it. Because why would I bring in my B game? And why would I be bad-mannered? Why would I be reactive like a child is? I'm not a child. I know how to use my nervous system. I know how to use my brain. I know how to notice when something's come up and where it came from, because that's the difference when you're a self-aware, accountable, regulating person. So the ones who have been disappointed in the field of self-help, who are serious, well, they're going to be back here for sure, because they're going to know enough about attachment trauma. But what it really is they know about their body, and they work with their ego and their self, however they got here, whether they had to do the hard work or they didn't have to. I didn't do hard work. I just worked with, my mother taught me manners and my emotions, and I don't hide them. And I don't actually talk over anyone in general. And when I make fun of pseudo-intellectuals, it's because they're hilarious. It's obvious who the charlatans are to me. The charming ones aren't charming. And when someone asks about a guru and a cult leader, I think, well, let me tell you, But in my head, I'm also knowing that if you ask, there's 3 or 4 or 5 reasons. You're completely oblivious to it and are curious. You're trying to provoke a conversation since I'm a mystic. You might be a bot. You might have had an experience, but above all, you don't know your gut. And you don't know your gut because if you did know your gut, you would immediately know that anyone who isolates you, guru code, don't matter what word, isolating me, removing me from all information, telling me your little perfect size fits all works, that's bullshit. That's why it's obvious to a smart person. That's bullshit. And when someone wants to interrupt experts in class, out of class, wherever it is, okay, you got reactive, you don't like information. That's it. That's all this is. But when you hear mindfulness, mindfully listening, da 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 da, yeah, that's not how. One of the other complaints is about the positive narrative that they get frustrated with, and that I understand because they're meeting people who are also using a narrative. Yeah, but positive, when we use the word, it's because you want to use the positive, the negative, and neutral. So neutral looks positive to those who suffer emotions. They want to be the capricious 3-year-old with the 16-year-old. So people who like the reactive, that's why it's not healthy and it's not enlightening. If you react, you're getting in a defense mode and you're not becoming aware, oh look, I reacted to something I don't like, which is really just a conversation. And so again, anybody who knows themselves will be back here because they'll know what self-help is for, and that's why they know where the disappointments lie. Smart consumers. I don't treat consumers like idiots. The ones who are idiots to me, they think I'm an idiot. I'm okay with that because I don't want to hang out with those who are destructive in a way that is unnecessary. And then they can go and play and hang out together with their narratives and continue the bullshit. 3D, 4D, they ain't going anywhere. They're not a lower species. No, they're people who are leading with a 3-year-old that doesn't get healed, an 8-year-old that doesn't get emotionally mastered, a 16-year-old who thinks they know what management, mastery, and intelligence mean, and a person who, like my facade friend, gives up on themselves and consistently gets more and more weak by the minute because they don't know how to self-regulate. And that makes me sad. But my facade friend, guess what he said to me once? Maria, it seems like you think with the right choice. It seems like you think you know what the right choice is for them to make. Yes, it's called love and integrity and honesty and balls and every single bit of being a fucking grown-up. So yeah, I do know what the right choice is. But then again, my facade friend is a coward too, so it's okay because, that's what cowards like to do, give each other pats on the back when they get weak and then make up some bullshit excuses, which Miss Perfect, Miss Know-It-All. Nope, not really, but I don't have insecurities in me. Not even one, because I can get it wrong. That's not an insecurity, it's an actual thing. Oh, and then I get afraid of things I don't know. That's actual insecure. But I'm good with self-regulating and co-regulating, so I'm okay with being a weak one, vulnerable. That means I can be crying and completely okay with being okay, wow, that was an unprecedented. So when you're a kid growing up and you meet mean kids, you don't say let me copy you. You say I'm not copying you. You don't know what love is. My mother taught me what love is, and so did my twin, and we still hang out and have a good time. And my younger sister and the extended family, Ice Age, Manny, Diego, Sid. So the reaction lives in one part of the system, the story lives in the other. People who don't notice, again, and they don't communicate. Left and right don't communicate unless the person has them communicating. So that's why Dan's healing trauma cohort focuses on memory integration, state integration, interpersonal integration, and the subtle embodied practices that help people experience coherence rather than just describe it. Or clients. So obviously I'm not a therapist, but again, with self-help, we still know that this integration is part of that, your differentiated self. So when you're integrated, you will easily be aware when your child parts come up. You'll also be aware when something was reactive, a little bit or not a lot, and then you're knowing how to, okay, I'm going to be doing 5 mindset practices so that I can, the next time it happens, and you continue doing it. In fact, our first digital product is going to be a 3-day mental or mindset reset, I think. I forget the title of it, but stay tuned. So this is where Dr. Daniel Siegel, if you're curious about this, I got an email, so just you have to email me and I'll forward to you because it's a live cohort that I don't know the word cohort, so apologies. but that will be on January 5th, 2026. So you could go to mindsightinstitute.com and check it out. And yeah, it's healing trauma, integrating brain, body, and relationships, a 2-month online intensive. Oh wow, that's awesome. Okay, so there's a very good price. Don't wait to register. Interested in a payment plan? Get started for just $100. Okay, so they even have payment plans in case you're curious. And that's a wrap. So thanks for stopping by. I will be back with more. In the meantime, have a good one.